blame me. I'm not dead. What's up, everybody? Station Pop Pop Boo. Welcome to Horrorfest 2022 here on PCP Movie Night. Tonight we are talking about a very much underappreciated, undervalued Wes Craven classic, The Serpent and the Rainbow. It's the movie about getting laid in Haiti and then getting buried alive because of it and in spite of it. Speaking of in spite of getting buried alive and getting lucky, I don't know. It's Jelani. What is up, my man? How you doing? Station.
I'm good. Station. Suppose. Good
Happy
to be here, man.
Yeah, man. It's always good to have you here. Then, of course, we got the main man, Perry himself.
Station.
What is up?
How's it going?
It's going swell. Speaking of swell, we got Brian with the B. How you doing, my man, Brian?
Now, I'd like 2 eggs over hard.
Let me get that one out of the way. You know,
I'm doing over hard today.
Then we can focus.
Yes.
But
Now we can focus. Now I can talk without fear.
Can
No?
you? Speaking of talking without fear, the only guy I know that still reps all of his no fear gear is Brooks. What is up, my man?
And it Hori.
How you doing, man? So it also rounding out the panel tonight, it's the man himself, that son of a bitch, Dylan from Dylan's Horror Show Station.
What up, brother?
What's up, man?
The computer was taking forever to boot up.
You're right on time, man. In fact, if you want to say anything, none of those guys out there in the chat would have known that you were late. But it's okay.
Wow. Yeah, true.
Happy that you're here, man.
You guys in the backstage knew I was late, so.
Did they? Anyway, you out there in the chat, we appreciate you being here. We want you to be a part of the conversation. Talk about it. Serpent and the Rainbow. Oh, my goodness. 1988, starring Bill Pullman. What's dude's name from Wrath of Khan? Paul Winfield? Is that his name?
Winfield.
Yes. Yeah. Like, oh, my goodness. This movie, I remember it from a very early age. Now, this is everybody's first time watching, except for me and Dylan. But, like, I remember watching this movie when I was a kid, when it came out in VHS, probably like in 89 or something, and just loving it. Like, I was transfixed with this movie. I loved the idea of the voodoo zombie, because we had zombie movies. Now, we weren't in zombie overload like we are nowadays, but even back in those days, you know, we knew about the Romero zombies and Return of the Living Dead and all that stuff. I didn't quite know about Fulci yet when I was 8 or 9 years old, so sue me. But I was obsessed with this idea because I had seen this movie with Bela Lugosi, White Zombie, from back in the day, right? And so I was really interested in this. Plus, it's Wes Craven. I love this movie overall, and I was kind of nervous going into this rewatch because I felt when we put together the Horrorfest list, I felt like if we ever would have a funhouse situation brewing for this year, meaning like a movie that I love that everybody else really didn't, I thought it might be this one, but I am pretty confident that we picked another banger because every time I watch the film, of course I have this nostalgic affection for it, but I truly think it becomes one of my favorite Craven films. It held up amazingly well. It's a refreshing take on voodoo zombies. It's got solid performances. It's got great directing. It's brutal. It's dreamlike. It's compelling. And it's damn right otherworldly at times. I am so curious to know what y'all thought and how, Jelani, you made it your whole life not watching this movie. What did you think about Serpent and the Rainbow, Jelani?
Well, I'm surprised too because like it's pretty decent. I was enthralled. In fact, it takes a real punch of a movie. This is not your Funhouse, so yeah, bravo.
Whoa! Let's not start off throwing shade at the Funhouse.
That's
now.
true. We don't need to do
We
that.
don't want Robbie. We don't want this fire to happen.
Funhouse trash. Anyway, but this isn't. It's paced slowly. I think that might be its only real thing that was bothering me because I was like, come on now, you know, at least try to get me to the zombie parts. I want to see that. And then when I got to it, I was like, oh yeah, forgot this my number 2 fear next to drowning is being buried alive. And I was like, oh yeah, it sucks. So
if you really think about it, drowning is kind of being buried alive. If you really think about it.
Yeah, it is. I'm not a fan. Like getting burned up, drowning, or getting buried alive. Absolutely not. That's why I don't. like I can't tell anybody of a memorial because then they'll be like, oh yeah, we got a good plan for you. Like a slab of concrete or something. I'm like, nope, pass. So yeah, it got all my fears in, other than, don't mess with me while I'm asleep. We'll talk about that with another movie set. But yeah,
Nice.
it's terrifying.
Nice. I'm glad you liked it, man. Something genuinely scary to you.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Perry, what about you, man? I'm really, really excited to hear what you said.
I didn't get scared by it, but it was definitely creepy throughout the whole film. It was an hour and 37 minutes, right? But it felt like a 2-hour plus movie. I felt like this could have been almost like a mini series. Like there was just so much that was going on nonstop. And then they had like these crazy jumps that was just like, it threw me off. I'm like, what's going on? Did I miss something? What's happening? And it just like, it made me like want to sit down and like, all right, this is definitely going to be a movie I have to rewatch again, like sit through and like really get the juices out of it, to say the least. But no, the cool thing I liked about it is Wes Craven did Nightmare on Elm Street, right? Yeah. I felt like a lot of references from Nightmare on Elm Street, from like the arms coming out in the cells, from the man on fire, like there were so many cool things that reminded me of Nightmare, and I was like, this is so cool, like being able to see a movie and see the references, and like it made it so much enjoyable,
Yeah, he was riding high off of the success of Nightmare on Elm Street, which he did in '84, and this is a few years later, and I think he delivered, and it's obviously not as iconic as something like Nightmare, but it is a damn fine movie, man. And there are some Wes Craven movies from this period, shocker, People Under the Stairs, movies that I like, but maybe not necessarily some of the greatest films out there. This one really holds up, and Wes didn't feel like he was making a horror movie. That's why he chose this project. He was fascinated because it's based on a book by Wade Davis. This dude actually was like some kind of botanist or something, and he went down to Haiti and he was studying the formula, the zombie formula, what they were using. He found out that they were using like this toxin from the blowfish and a toad or something like that, tetrodioxin or something like that, right? And so it's kind of that's based on real stuff. And then the idea that while he was there, he came into contact with this dude who was a zombie. Like he died, was buried in '62, pronounced dead by an American doctor because, that had way more sway to people over than a Haitian doctor, was buried. They had a funeral, and then like 12, 16 years later, he pops up and sees his sister, and like he had been like enslaved by this dude because of these chemicals that they had given him, right? And they were basically controlling him. This is real shit that happens, right? This is based on some real shit. Then of course they go wild with the rest of it, But hell yeah, Perry, I'm glad that you seem to be into it. Brian with the B, what about you, my friend?
Yeah, I dug it. I don't know how I missed this movie because I was into like Nightmare on Elm Street and all those back in the day. I'd have been 16 when this came out. I'm not sure how I missed it. I remembered it, but I don't know, never ended up seeing it. But yeah, I really liked it. It was slow at the beginning, but like, I don't know, it kept me interested in what was happening and everything. And it was like, going along, but yeah, Harry, I noticed those jumps too. There was just like, there was some kind of weird kind of timing kind of things going on, but it didn't really distract, from enjoying the movie. But I couldn't stop comparing it to Funhouse since when we talked at the Deep, you were so worried that it was going to be another Funhouse that you were so worried when you asked me about it. You got as far away from me as you could. You like backed up against Rack of Comics and I don't know. It was just like I
felt nervous mentioning Funhouse around you because that was your only appearance on Horrorfest last year.
It was, yeah.
And I don't think you had a good time.
I had a good time on the show. Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't think you did.
Funhouse is no She-Hulk, but it's still good. It still slaps.
But no, I'm glad I'm on this one. I'm glad I got to watch it. That was why I signed up for this one because I'd always kind of wanted to watch it. So yeah.
Hell yeah. Good. Brooks, Professor you are. What did you think about this film?
Oh, I liked it pretty well. I mean, it's a very psychological movie. It kind of reminds me of movies like, Jacob's Ladder or something where like, all of a sudden like things like the situation will so dramatically shift. It's almost like the character's constantly waking up from a dream or something. It's like, things will be normal and all of a sudden like things will be really fucked up and So I think, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I liked it. I did like it, and I didn't think Funhouse was that bad, to be honest.
The redemption for Funhouse is coming soon. You guys just wait.
Yeah,
And
it's like I feel bad because everyone's like beating a dead horse, and like, come on, dude. It wasn't like Hellraiser Revelations bad.
Oh, you know it, brother.
No.
Is Revelations the bad one? Judgment's the one that's okay?
Yeah, Revelations I think is the worst one.
I always get those two mixed up, man. All right, Dylan. Obviously not your first time watching, man. What you think about this movie?
I absolutely love it, bro. I like it way more than the Funhouse. I don't know why you keep referencing them. They're two totally different directors. I know you're scared for it, but this is honestly, man, the banger of them all. Like, I feel like no one talks like how good this really is. Like, it's better than People Under the Stairs. It's It's better than Shocker. Yeah, that's the other one. Dude, I watched this morning. Like, woke up early, like pitch black in my basement, soundbar blasting. This movie's so damn good, bro. Pullman, so good. It's a totally different vibe than what you're expecting. But dude, it's just so interesting, man, to see like this guy like go down to Africa or whatever and straight up try and find this zombie powder, you know? And
Haiti?
Yeah, he's in Haiti.
Haiti, okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Wherever he's at, man. But I still love the hell out of it, dude. That Haitian voodoo priest guy, the head one that works for the police or whatever, he's just nasty as hell. It's so realistic. It's not like they threw like Marshall Ali and all these like big names, you know, like these are real guys that are probably for real Haitians too, you know. It wasn't like no bullshit. And Bill Pullman is just incredible in this. Who's the one chick too? The chick he's with the whole time. She's great.
Yeah.
But dude, I love some of the like shots in this. You know, some of the nightmares he has, which obviously that's kind of like a little bit of some Freddy homaging in there. But you know, the chick with the which I think Greg Nicotero did the effects on this, like
it shows.
Chick, you know, the corpse with the snake coming out. That shit is just so good, man. Like, and that's all practical. The music is phenomenal. Just, dude, I absolutely love this movie so much, though, man. I think it's one of a kind, man. There's not many like it. And if there are, it was like black and white days, the very, very beginning of like the zombie lore. So that's what I really like about this. Where Craven went back to like the beginning and the roots of where the fuck did the zombie shit come from, you know? So I really like it, man. It's kind of like The Witch in a way, but with like zombies, like a real take on the zombies, you know?
Yeah,
and,
very
like,
grounded.
where they came from.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's not just like a bunch of BS. Like, it was one where I, like you said, Wes Craven was like, I'm not gonna take this like a horror film. I'm gonna take this serious, you know?
Yeah.
And dude, I enjoy the hell out of it. I feel like cinematography just so much, bro, is good. Like, I was literally like going nuts this morning thinking just how I was like, dude, it was probably one of the best viewings ever watching it. It was just so good in that zone I was in. Just sometimes, man, you just put in a movie and you're just like perfectly set for it, man. You know,
Yeah,
like,
I enjoy it more.
Force yourself to put it on. You ever feel like that? I know some people gotta feel like that when we do these reviews. You're like, you know, I'm kind of not in the mood for it, you know, but you got to do it because, you know, the review's tomorrow or whatever. Yeah. Well, I was like ready for this one, man. So it was a really good watch. I really enjoyed it, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoy it more every time I watch it more and more. And I need to watch it more often, you know, and so we're about to get into the cast, but you had mentioned that a lot of these performances felt like they were actually people from Haiti. Well, they were. So a lot of this movie was filmed in Haiti. They went there. They Wes Craven's like involved in this ritual where they slay this pig, and he doesn't have to drink the blood. They allowed him not to, but like he was a part of this thing, and so they like were into him. But there was some crazy stuff that happened behind the scenes here. So first of all, they had like 2,000 Haitian extras that they were dealing with for a lot of these things. They were paying them like $5 a day to do extras or something. They asked for raises like 3 or 4 different times, and at one point even surrounded some of the crew. They all had stones in their hand because stoning still gets done in Haiti, and they were going to stone these fuckers to death if they didn't give them more money. And it became so crazy there. And then one of the writers on the film was doing an interview with the dude who had made the zombie powder, and he was explaining it. And the dude had told him, "Hey man, I always wondered, like maybe I could be into voodoo. This is interesting to me." And the guy says, "Well, then you will be into it." And then all of a sudden, the dude went crazy for 4 fucking days, dude. They found him half naked, fucking rambling nonsense. They sent him back home to Miami, did not recognize his wife and kids. And then like 4 days later, just kind of came out of this haze, didn't remember shit. The entire crew at one point got all violently ill, except for Wes Craven, right? Because right. And I think people think it's because he went to that ritual or whatever. And he really brought a lot of like respect to voodoo, to what they were talking about here. But then they had to go to the Dominican Republic because they were like, we got to get out of here.
Wow. That's crazy.
They went to the Dominican Republic, and then the Catholic Archbishop there tried to shut them down because he thought they were doing sacrilegious stuff or whatnot. So troubled production, but a great film highlighted by a great cast. I don't want anybody to steal mine, so I'm going to go first. Brent Jennings as Mozart, the dude who made zombie powder.
I love him.
He's the best one. Damn.
Yep. My girl was like, "Oh, when he sneaks onto the plane, she like, and then he kind of like jumps off, and the thing that like jumps.
Oh,
up
that was so
That was
cool.
awesome.
When he went away.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I wanted him to get shot there." I'm like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "He's awesome. Why would you want him to get shot?"
Yeah. It's great, man. I love the scenes when he goes into the bar, and he's like, when he tells us, he says something like, is this zombie powder work, or do you own this bar? He goes, or he basically alludes to the idea that, well, the guy who did own this bar before me, like I did. He's
got his little his soul bottle back there. He's like, well, the guy that used to own the bar, he's right there.
But he's cool because at first you think he's kind of like a con artist, right? And then he does develop this kind of bond with Bill Pullman's character, and it's so good. And his death could have come across a little bit more impactful, but maybe that would have been too cheesy. Yeah. I like the abruptness of it. Jelani, what you got for performance cast?
Well, I had yours, but I'll take it back. He was a great character, though. Yeah, Brent Jennings was great. I guess I'll go to my second, and that's the captain, the voodoo priest. Was paid by like Zake Smoke. Yeah, Zake Smoke has been on a whole bunch of stuff. He's been in Oz. He's also he was in Waterworld for the randomest thing. I've seen him in a lot of stuff though, a lot of films. And he's a scary dictator. It just feels like he's that cool, laid back guy that takes people's souls and tries to live forever on them and make them do what he wants. It just feels like that supernatural dude that you need to stop. That thing he does with the nail is pretty wretched. And I'm like, that still kind of gives me a chill because I watched it last night, like completely hammered, and then had to watch it again this morning. But I do remember it very vividly.
Oh, did I scream? I screamed.
I would have screamed too.
I was like, no.
It's like
I was like, no.
And then when they throw him out the damn freaking van, and you just see the blood, and I'm like, oh. And then he's walking.
I left the country that day. That day, you would have never talked to me again. I'd have never been in Haiti.
Man.
I'd have found a way to like live my life as something else. I'd be like, sorry, medicine company, you just fuck right on the fuck off. I just had my scrotum stamped. Pass. So
like he's still hanging with that chick that he's got the hots for too. I'd be like, man, I'm a little embarrassed. Like my scrotum just got fucked up.
Yeah, but she never come back to health, so that's cool.
That's rough. That's a rough scene, man.
But that's awful.
Yeah. And what's great is it's all about the implication. It's about the sound. Like you don't see it.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Yeah.
If Eli Roth and Adam Green would have done that, you would have seen the nail go through the ball sack. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, bruh.
Yeah. And then you just be like the blood on his underwear afterwards. Like they don't show nothing. And
no, they don't.
What does he say right before? Like, scream for me? Oh, not good enough.
Not good enough.
Yeah.
Not good enough. And it's his face. I like his mannerisms. I know he's South African, but I love his mannerisms. I love everything he's been in. He just feels like he's that dude. Like this is some guy in a movie, but in this might be his best role that I've seen him in. He's just an absolute monster. And the fact that like he even in the end when he comes back and he gets literally dragged to hell Um, the fact he's all burnt up and charred, that makeup, by the way, was perfect. All the charring and all that stuff. I'll never get into that section, but man, it just took it was just a lot of work, and it was very scary when he jumped out again to attack Bill Pullman. And it's just, I don't know. He creeped me out. And, since you took the other guy who was my homeboy, especially when he came out of that plane, that was baller. So I'll give it to
the old scrotum nailer dude is definitely a good pick. I'll say that. Speaking of scrotum nailing, what about you, Perry? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I'm gonna go with the main protagonist. I don't know his name. The guy who works for the medicine company and he's looking for this powder.
Yeah, Bill Pullman.
He had one of my favorite scenes when what did he take, like some ayahuasca? What was that thing that he first took?
Yeah,
and it was like a hallucinogen.
Oh, when he found like his spirit animal.
Yeah, and he started wrestling with like the jaguar or whatever, and then he gets pulled into the ground, and there's all these hands coming out, and it's like dragging him to hell, and then it's just like black underneath him, and he's falling. I'm like, that's the most terrifying thing in the world to me. Like just being sucked in by the ground, knowing you're being dragged to hell. Come on, dude. That's insane. But yeah, no, he was relentless. He got his payback. He nailed the guy back at the end. So you get nailed, you give a nail, bless you. Right. So yeah, I'm definitely going with the main guy. Super cool. Yeah, I felt like I have an attachment to him because the movie felt like I said, it could have been a miniseries because there was so much going on. So I felt like I was with him on like this really long journey. And then it was like, it hit me with the loss. Like, we got to go back, Jack. We got to go back. And so they go all the way back. He goes back to Haiti. And I'm like, dude, this is nuts. Like, why are you?
That's the one moment in the movie where I'm like, fuck that.
There's no way, dude. You just got there, Oh, was the guy dead in the helicopter or was he just hallucinating? Remember he had maggots coming out of him? He was dead, right?
Oh, I'm pretty sure he was dead because he like had to run all the way back to like freaking the town again because it jumps to him being
and then it jumps to him in the city, and I was like, that's what like really threw me off. I'm like, whoa, what just happened right there?
I think his pilot actually died.
Showing you the disorientation that he's going through, right?
Yeah.
Right? Especially once he gets that dust blown in his face, and you're just like, oh no. That's good.
They do it smooth. They do it smooth. They just walk in.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do. It's game over, buddy.
We got you.
It's it.
And he's sitting there and he's just like, don't bury me. Don't bury me. I'm not dead.
And the tarantula. Tarantula, dude. That's
someone. I'll kiss to keep you company.
Yeah.
Well, was it him that the scorpion came out of the mouth?
No, that was Paul Winfield.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That part, man.
When he like rips his fucking head. Like,
Oh my god.
So good.
So good stuff. What about you, Brian? What's a character you want to highlight?
Well, I had the captain first, and then the man, I'm blanking on everybody's names. The guy that made the powder, he was my second. So my third is Lucian, the Paul Winfield. He was like, I don't know. He was providing hope, in all these different places where it's all of a sudden I don't know. I really liked, his impact, the impact of his character on the movie. I mean, like when he picked him up at the airport, that was a really cool scene, I thought, because like I totally thought he was getting busted again, and then and it's him and his boys, and they're trying to help him out. I was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I liked his bits, and yeah, that was a pretty epic death scene too, man. That was just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's but yeah.
Yeah, he's a
That's what I'll go with.
Solid performance, very memorable in the movie, and definitely a character that's needed because Bill Pullman needs somebody with some sway there. And you see this kind of role being played in so many other movies and stuff, right? Going as far back as things like Casablanca, even. What about you, Brooks? What's a performance you want to highlight?
I like the female lead in this movie pretty well. The doctor lady. I love, like he was surprised that it was a woman, as of course, because but it's it's not a big issue, He doesn't like make a thing out of it, which I thought was pretty cool of him. But their romance is very like weird and abrupt to me. Like I'm like, Does it really
It's
happen?
hot, baby, man. It's hot, man.
Like,
Stuff's
what the
going
fuck? All of a
on.
sudden, like they're just fucking, and it's like, okay, but yeah, like I think
Like they
She does
fucking
kinda
in a
get,
cave off to the side of this
Yeah.
party everyone's at.
Yeah.
Like I was like, been there, done that. Shit.
she does kind of become like a little bit of a bargaining chip towards the end of the movie, but it's not like she's not like in a cage screaming for help or anything. So
Yeah.
give it a pass.
Yeah, I got you, man. What about you, Dylan? What's something you want to highlight?
And I like I said before, I really think everybody's cast very well. I could pick every one that you guys said. I'd probably go, who is it? The guy who creates the powder, I guess.
Mozart,
yeah, man. I just love, you think he's just like a little hustler at first, but then you kind of find out that he's actually like a genius in his own right, like a true genius. And then I love how he's like, you forgot my 1,000, Blanc. And he's like, damn. He's like, they took all my money. He's like, you better tell them my name then. He's like, you better make sure they all know my name. He's great, man. He adds like a little bit more intrigue and everything to it, and it makes it kind of a little more enjoyable since you're kind of following it, and it could be paced where some people might think it's a little slow. I don't. I could see someone saying like, it's a little boring. To me, I'm just so in it. But I think he kind of livens it up a little bit, and makes it a little cool, because there's some tense fucking moments in this shit, no doubt.
yeah.
But I love everyone, man. They're pulling so good. Like,
Hell yeah. One more I want to highlight is the dude's henchman, right, with the glasses,
Yeah.
with
That dude
scars.
was awesome.
oh yeah, always wearing the sunglasses.
With the
Those-
badass
those-
facial hair, you mean?
Yeah,
He was
badass
bad.
facial hair. He's got that big knife.
Facial hair I'm jealous of.
Yeah.
You should be. He's like basically
He
a
was a
Bond.
bad
henchman.
number 2.
He's a Bond henchman, man.
He is.
All right. Style and structure. I think it is shot beautifully. The use of the location is absolutely fantastic. Lots of cool Craven tricks in here, like when he's at the staircase and he thinks he's supposed to go this way, but he's falling. And then
I like that.
even when he's standing, and then all of a sudden he's laying on his back in the coffin, like all those kind of things. It's like Wes, like we still got that rotating set from Nightmare. I got some ideas, right? It feels grounded yet still ethereal, and I love that. I think it's rather tightly constructed. It's got decent dialogue, but it's the care and the respect that Wes has for the material is very evident. It's character focused and maybe a bit cheesy at the end, where all the spirit ghosts are like leaving and all that stuff. It gets a little Care Bear stare there for me, but I really think the movie is cool. I love the style, the look of it. I love the atmosphere provided. I like the structure of the story, and the special effects slap. Speaking of slapping, what about you, Jelaine? What do you think about the style and structure?
I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's got a slow kind of a feeling for me. Just the pacing was a little off at the beginning as we go through it. Like I said, I really wanted things to like happen. I don't know why. It just felt like a movie that would do that with a guy on the cover, like trying to jump out of a grave. It just feels like there'd be more stuff going on. But at the same time, it still intrigued me. Like the characters held me, it kept me engaged. I knew what was going on throughout. So it's shot beautifully. Every scene, like I hate the coffin where he's like covered in blood. Like the blood shot comes through and he's like about to drown in it, and then he wakes up. That terrifies me. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
It combines the being buried
terrifying.
alive with drowning. And like I said, you're doing it to me, and you're messing with me while I'm sleeping. It's all of them. It's a cluster of a movie, and it's a good cluster. It doesn't. It takes its time to scare you, and then when it scares you, it feels like it's earned. So I really liked it. It was very tightly paced, and worked within the story they're trying to tell. Plus, it's based kind of loosely on a true story. I like that part. I especially like the crawl at the end of that pterodactyl is actually used, for anesthesia, for anesthetic purposes, and they still don't know the properties of it to this day, and I'm like, wow,
That was the scariest part.
That is really scary. I'm like, so we're using supernatural things for anesthesia. That really scares the crap out of me. Yeah. So,
all right, yeah, no, nice points. Perry, what do you think about the style and structure?
Yeah, the style of it, I thought it looked great. There was really cool scenes. I know we touched on the Mozart a few times in the plane, but that was awesome right there when he was just leaving. He was departing from the plane. When this guy was getting sucked into the earth, I thought it looked like crazy cool. When he was in the middle of the jungle, like all these shots, like the helicopter flying in, like it's just like they took their time to put so much content into an hour and 30 minutes. Like what the hell? Like it was just so much, and it flowed naturally. Like it flowed really good. I mean, there were some jump cuts there, but when Robbie said that he was disoriented, and that's when those jump cuts happened, makes perfect sense. Then, like it fits there because I was disoriented, but so is the main character. So it's kind of like that's what's supposed to happen. So yeah, I thought style and structure was great. I really liked it a lot.
Hell yeah! What about you, Brian?
Yeah, that's a good point about that because like I thought the pacing in the front end, like I thought it was slow, but I was still into it. It wasn't so slow that it was like I was just checking my watch, checking my phone, and dreading being on the show. It was just like so like when that end hit, which was my favorite part though, because it was so frenetic, and everything like that. I was thinking that, this could be like you were saying, like 2 hours. I mean, you could fill in all these other things and everything, but yeah, no, that makes sense totally. I did think that love scene was awkward. Not even just that they hooked up so quick. It was just like I don't know, but that happens.
They were like,
sometimes.
Wes, we can do this movie, but you got to give me a love scene. I can just get one good tit shot. That's all we need.
Yeah,
is that how love scenes were in the 80s?
yes,
that's what it seemed like.
All the time.
It was.
It was okay.
All the
There's
time.
an obligatory one, right?
Yeah.
So, yep.
She's
But
got a good grind going on, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. When it got to that point, yeah. But yeah, so another thing I want to point out is like, I've been horrified about being buried alive ever since I read Misery. Well, I know they made the movie, but yeah, I think that book came out around the same time as this movie. Now to think about it, but ever since I read that, I was like, that's horrifying. To be aware and be buried alive. And then but what this movie did is added even more language to that, and then the visual aspects of it. I was terrified in all those different scenes where that was going on, man. And it was like kind of light at first when it showed you Christoph just kind of in there crying a little bit, but then like each time they keep explaining like, deeper and deeper, and then showing it to you with, like Jelena, when you mentioned when the blood came in, I was like, oh, that's even worse, man. I can't believe that. It's not drowning in water either. It's freaking blood.
Yeah.
Which is super thick. So yeah, I mean, it was just, yeah. I think that was one of my favorite things of the movie is just how effective all those different scenes were. I mean, I was just like, scared and shocked and all that stuff. I mean, really worked. I mean, yeah, and all those animals coming out of people's mouths, man. Yeah. I don't know.
That's some real good stuff, man. So, hell yeah. Good points, man. What about you, Brooks? What do you think about the style and structure of this film?
Well, I think it's good. Like I said, it's it kind of bounces, like the psychological aspect is like it bounces it from like a scene of something normal to something like bizarre, which is like that doesn't really happen until like after the powder starts taking effect as much, but it does make it an interesting watch because like it's like all of a sudden it's like just like he's doing something and all of a sudden he's like fucking in a coffin filling up with blood or some shit, or getting a nail hammered into his ball sack or some crazy shit like that. But yeah, I mean it works. It works as like kind of a psychological thing because it keeps you off balance. Like you're wondering like, is this real? Like is this actually happening, or maybe he's hallucinating this or that. So you don't really know like you don't really know what's at stake throughout a lot of the movie, which I think makes it pretty interesting and suspenseful watch.
Yeah, and you're going along on that journey with Bill Pullman's character, right? Because he's just down there trying to figure out.
He's very much a man out of his element. he's a man who's like completely out of his element.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of out of his element, Dylan, there he is. What do you think about the style and structure of this film, man?
I like it, man. I think it's paced perfectly. Let me see. I love the cinematography on it. I love the Haitian look. Looks 100% authentic. I would think they filmed because I do remember about all that stoning and shit at the real Haitian spots. But I wouldn't think that any of it went over to Dominican Republic or wherever you said they went. It looks all legit. I think cinematography is one of the best Wes Craven's ever done.
Yeah,
I feel like the way he was really stretching some muscles on this, trying to, show people he's not just all horror, that he's got, a little bit more in him. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the guy who did not just Freddy, but fucking Ghostface too, man. Like, nobody has done two. Most people are lucky to get one big slasher. You know what I mean? This guy put two.
He has a game-changing horror film in each decade that he worked in. Because in the 70s,
truly.
you can go back to Last House on the Left or Hills Have Eyes. Like, he changed the game each decade he worked in. It's wild.
He truly did, man. He set the standard. You know what I mean? So yeah, the style, structure. I'd say I like the way it plays out. I love the arc Bill Pullman has. I think everything works out pretty good. It's definitely one you gotta watch. Like first watch, it's hard to say. Like Perry probably only watched it one time, so I feel like the more he watches it, he's gonna pick up more things, and he might like it more.
Yeah,
and more.
like Robbie said that it came from Blowfish, and when you're in Mozart's house for the first time, you see a blowfish hanging. So when he said that, I was like, "Whoa, that's so cool!" Like the little things they put in the movie. Like I want to go back and watch and see if I can pick up on some more.
Heck yeah, man. I think it's great, man. I say I'm trying to think because I know you guys kept saying it felt like 2 hours. I don't know. I never got really that problem. It pays pretty good because I was really into it the entire time. So yeah, man. I think everything's pretty damn spot on, man. This is one of my favorite Wes Craven films. But
Hell yeah. I agree with you, man. It's a fantastic film. So you like the style.
Did I forget anything? Style, structure?
No, you got it, bro.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, you golden, man. You good at this.
Thank you, brother.
All right. The music is done by Brad Fiedel. Now, we will know him mostly because he's the composer of both of those Fright Night films from the 80s. Great music in there.
Hell yeah.
His lesser-known work is The Terminator and The Terminator 2 Judgment Day and True Lies. This is James Cameron's #1 dude. And can you not tell from the moment you first start listening to this and it goes, it's like instantaneously iconic. That theme gets stuck in my head. It was stuck in my head for days after rewatching this film. It's got tones that remind me of like some of the best music in a Rambo film. And of course, Terminator, and there's a good reason for that. The use of the Haitian influence with the rhythm in particular is spectacular when it goes driving and starts selling a little bit more of that tribal type feel, but it still feels cinematic, mysterious, epic, and fan-fucking-tastic. What about you, Jelaine? What do you think about the music?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's very decent music. It's the first time I've heard it, so it's not to that icon level where I just will hum it, but it's good. I watched it twice and enjoyed it. I knew it was there the entire trip. It gets spooky in points. It drops when it needs to, especially I go back to that drowning in blood scene. The music just drops as it caves in, and it's like it goes with it when the sound muffles towards his face. Oh my god, and he wakes up screaming. It's just the crescendo to that scream. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's great.
What do you think about the music, Perry?
That girl had her head chopped off. How did that happen?
Very carefully.
Like it was like a clean chop, like he woke up and heads were rolling, That was crazy. But no,
It's
music.
like their version of the Godfather scene, man, right?
Yeah.
Music. I don't know. I guess I didn't pay attention that much, but it felt like it just fit. Like it was. I was never bored watching, and usually, like when there's some dialogue that might be a little lengthy, the music kind of like in the background is just there enough to just keep you paying attention. You know what I mean?
Keep you plugged in.
Yeah. Whoever did the sound effects, I don't know if it's the same guy, but that thump when he hit him in the ball sack was just that was painful, man. Yeah, the noise was painful, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, super cool, you know.
Hell yeah. I hope they like took like a prune, like a giant prune, and like just nailed a prune to the fucking the chair to get that sound effect, but probably something more dull than that. Brian, what did you think about the music?
Yeah, I like the music a lot. I wasn't able to watch it too loud, so when I rewatch it, I hope I can get it to where I can, watch it a little louder. But yeah, you've all made really good points, and I guess my favorite bits were the tense scenes. That music in there was really effective in those scenes. I was able to hear that clearly, and it was awesome. And yeah, the Haitian influence on the music, that was also one of my favorite parts about it, because I love that rhythmic stuff. I mean, and it really adds to the the atmosphere of where they're at, and everything. And it's very effective music. I guess sometimes I do get wrapped up and I'm not paying attention to the music, but and then I'm only going to notice if it's bad. But this, I wasn't trying to pay attention to it, but it was definitely coming out as kind of its a needed element in this film. I guess it was very much a part of the film.
Yeah,
really dug it.
Absolutely. Speaking of a needed element for every PCP movie night is Brooks. Brooks, what did you think about the music in this film?
This music was very drums. Drums was like the theme of this soundtrack. Drums with more drums, and then some more drums, and just a few more drums in there. It works. I mean, I really liked it. It is, and it's good for it's really good in suspense because like drums will go, and you get the more drum beats in there going at different paces and tempos. It's like it's chaotic. I like it.
Yeah, polyrhythms.
Hell yeah, man. What about you, Dylan? What do you think about the music?
I really like it, man. I dig the drums, man. It sounds authentically Haitian, and I dig it, man. And I think it has kind of some little voodoo, chimes and flutes and shit here and there. But yeah, it's creepy, man, and it adds a real good aesthetic to it, and just gives you that whole Haitian vibe, man. You just feel like you're taking over into that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it, man. One of my favorite. So obviously we can always say how great the score is in Scream and Nightmare. Like his solo movies though, like this is probably one of my favorite scores though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think right from the opening credits crawl and whatnot, like it's just they get you with that. It's just that, and then like Brooks was saying, drums, man, and that rhythm starts coming in, and they build up to that frantic that pace, and then it just releases at certain moments. It's really, really cool. All right, what is the movie speaking to you? What is this movie about? What is the theme that you picked up, Jelani?
Never go to Haiti. I keep learning new things about different countries and different societies and all this other stuff. I don't want to go to Haiti. It's dirt poor. There's too much stuff. If somebody's telling me that the dead are returning to life, I am definitely not going there. They're
coming to get you, Jelani.
I know. Pass. No, sir. I will never go there. But in all honesty, it's like, I don't know. The pursuit of knowledge can, it takes many different turns. And sometimes you gain knowledge and there's a sacrifice given for that knowledge that sometimes can lead to medical miracles. So that's what I see from it.
Yeah,
and other times it's the fucking devil. So,
sometimes you got to lose a ball sack to help the world.
to help the world.
Yeah.
Little
What about you?
sacrifice.
Sacrifice. I like that. What about you, Perry? What do you think? What were you picking up from this one?
I don't know. I kept getting the theme of like persistence, like this guy just not stopping, always trying to do more. Like he could have definitely backed away when Buddy's like, "All right, we're gonna dig this guy out of this grave. We're gonna get this body and we're gonna break it down." Like when they started crushing the skull, like that's where you're like, "All right, we can't even bring this back to the States. You know, we're not gonna be like a Fortune 500 company going and grave robbing in like New York. You know, that's not happening." Like he could have just left, but I don't know. Like he just seemed like he genuinely just wanted to help people, and like he's like, here's this thing that I'm so close, I'm on the cusp of it, and I'm right there. Like I just need it. But that ended up being his demise at the end of the day. So
yeah, absolutely. Good points. Good points. I like that a lot. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I'd say don't mess with voodoo even while pursuing the American dream of making money off other people's discoveries.
Okay. You want to unpack that a little bit?
No, I'm okay not unpacking that. No, I agree. You guys made good points. I mean that seemed to be kind of the thing is like the sacrifice and things like you have to go through, to get to make these discoveries and everything. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
All right. A true sacrifice, as we keep saying.
Yes, sack. Yeah, very good.
Well, at least he got laid right a little bit before that, right? What about you, Brooks? What did you pull from this one?
I thought it was kind of about the kind of controlling nature of religion. How a lot of religions they exert control over people's lives in like a lot of ways. Like you dictate how you're allowed to act or dress or whatever. But like as much as like you have to like acquiesce to those terms, but like the idea that there's a religion out there that can control your dreams and can control you like from beyond the grave is a very unsettling idea. Like this idea that these priests are not just people who are like preaching or like trying to but can actually like just control you. Yeah. It's like it's kind of like a more extreme version of just regular religion, which is also about these high and mighty priest types dictating terms to you and telling you how you could live your life, like this is the way if you want to get to heaven or whatever. But it's got that little voodoo twist of like, we're actually going to like reincarnate your corpse with your soul and trap your soul in this bottle and control you. It's kind of got a little that Get Out kind of aspect to it too, like like being aware, but not having control.
Yeah, a little bit of that possession element, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. Good points. What about you, Dylan? What'd you pick up from this movie?
For what it's trying to say?
Yes, sir.
What I think it's trying to say, definitely a big one is the kind of like, what is it, Peter Wayland, how in the Alien franchise, how he's always trying to seek that like life after death, and there's got to be something to keep his old ass alive forever because he just can't stand letting all the millions go to waste. But I think definitely life after death and what comes after. They say like, oh, it could be like a cool anesthetic or whatever, but they're looking, praying that maybe they found the golden freaking ticket and they found the eternal life, which obviously it isn't, but life after death definitely is a big one. And I think voodoo too, man. I think like how some people kind of shrug it off and think all that shit's fake. I think Wes Craven took it so seriously, and especially after what they say happened to people on the set, that is like, this is real, and they say at the end that the component toxin or whatever, that is a real thing that the biotness or whatever was studying. They could never figure out truly like why it works the way it does. It said something like that at the end. You know what I mean? So like basically kind of hinting at like there's just, you know, some voodoo properties that you'll never understand, you know? But yeah, I think that's probably it. Like death and, you know.
Good points. Good points. I think you all kind of hit the nail on the head. The only thing I'll add is this. I think it's about the culture. I mean, my bad. The control and exploitation of a population and the revolution that will inevitably lead to, right? You add into that the idea of the naive nature of the civilized man, thinking that, you know, the whole idea, they make it point to, well, he was declared dead by an American doctor. Like there's something so like these people are so, you know, below us in knowledge and all this. They're so superstitious. They're so steeped in tradition and folklore, right? But they actually have things that are more powerful and things that even our modern science can't even understand. And then also that ties into the truth and power of belief. And not just in the belief that, like, say this magic zombie spell is going to work for you, but against you, which leads to something like Brooks was saying, like that control and exploitation of a population can be done through belief. It can be done through power and systemic structures. Haiti is a country that at the time that he was in Haiti, it was going through this like revolution or whatever. There was that guy who said he was going to be president for life and all that stuff.
Baby Dr. Valia.
Exactly. Big revolution. So the fact that this evil voodoo guy who is controlling all of these souls of all these other powerful voodoo practitioners and leaders, because you don't call him a priest or whatever. I don't remember what the term is, but
witch doctor.
Well, no, not quite. But he is also tied into this like military police force, right? Like that's very intentional. Yeah. Wes is making a statement there where he's tying it in. So I think control and exploitation of a population through, the power of belief and the revolution that springs from. Because at the end of the movie, there's this revolution starting. There's this revolt that's happening, and that revolt is reflected in Bill Pullman's journey. And so it ultimately leads to revolution or a rebirth, right? So they're quite literally putting the idea of a death, burial, and resurrection that's being dealt with in this movie. They're putting that into the idea of how that applies to an individual on their own journey and to a community at large as a whole. So that's what I think it's about. That's what I was pulling from it. So now it's time to rate the film. You out there in the chat, we want to hear from you. Out of 5 possible you digs, what do you give The Serpent and the Rainbow? And on the panel, Jelani, kick us off.
All right. I like this movie a lot. I saw it like 1.5 times, and it was both times were quite enjoyable. So I'm gonna give this one a 4.5. I think it's shot beautifully. I think the cast is well what it is. Its practical effects are astounding. I mean, all the visuals just freak you out in some form or fashion. The spider alone, just to put that in the way the spider is shot on the face, it's certain stuff like that. It's just that attention to detail. I'll watch this again. This will be in a rotation, so I'll give it a 4.5 at least. It's very good.
Hell yeah, 4.5 from Jelani. What about you, Perry?
I'm gonna give it a solid 4.0. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely gonna watch it again. I don't know. It felt like, I don't know. I could have used another 30 minutes of it. Like I felt like I wanted more, and there's no sequel to this, I'm assuming. So yeah, no, definitely a 4.0 for me. Yeah.
Nice. Very solid score, man. A really good score, actually, especially for a first time viewing. What about you, Brian? What do you think?
Yeah, I go with 4 as well. Yeah, I really liked it. And I was a little surprised how much I liked it, actually. But yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it again. And yeah.
Hell yeah. 4.0 from Brian. What about you, Brooksy?
I'd give this one a 4. It's a good movie. I feel like it gets it dragged a little bit for me in spots, but not like so bad that, it affects the movie too terrible. It's it's an interesting flick, you know, and that's the setting is like I love the setting, and I love the way how this dude is like portrayed as this guy who's like he's just so out of his element. He's like such a fish out of water, but you know he does the best he can with it. And I love one of my favorite parts is when you know he's having a hallucination where he's wrestling with the jaguar, and it cuts back to the priest just watching him like roll around on the ground,
Yeah,
and the priest is just like,
That was great.
he found it.
And then he closed himself off. That was so cool. And then he just opened it, and it was that guy's face. That was a great scene.
Hell yeah!
It's like
All right.
it's an interesting twist on the zombie too, like that you don't see as often. Something a little different, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And now for something completely different. Hell yeah! Some high ratings so far, PCP Excitable crew. What about you, Dylan? What you got?
Man, it's tough. I'm debating on two, man. I really enjoyed it, man. You know what, man? I'm gonna go. If you can't debate in between, you just meet in the middle. 4.69, dog.
Yeah.
I was debating on the 5, man. I really liked it this time, man. I think this is my favorite like Craven film, honestly, dude. Like, it's so good, man. I really enjoyed it. I've seen it a lot more than you. Some of you guys, like Perry. I think the more you watch it, you're gonna like it a lot more. But it was a perfect viewing for me today. It was just like perfect setting. My mood was right. I had a blast with it. I've never watched it and like not liked it, but there are days when like I could watch it. And I'd be like, yeah, it felt a little slower today. You know what I mean? Just it depends on your mood, man. I was so glad, man. I was so hyped all day to come here and talk about this. I almost was like, man, I hope one of y'all hate on this shit. So I get real tonight. So I get big bad. But yeah, man. 4.69, man. I had fun with it. A lot of fun. I think it's a good story, good, interesting story. Very intriguing. Keeps you. It can be a little slow in the pacing, but it keeps you intrigued the whole time. I think it's just set up and paced perfectly. You know, it's different than what you normally expect from Craven, and I like that, man.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I'm gonna go 4.5. 4.5. I think it held up amazingly well. It's cool to go back and do that classic voodoo zombie thing, but ground it in a realism, but still have this ethereal, dreamlike quality that I think actually supersedes some of the dreamlike natures of his Nightmare work, right? I love the film. I think it's great. Solid performances, amazing music. It gets stuck in my head. I love that theme. I love those drums. I love this whole experience. So I'm going to go 4.5. And so that means 4.5 from me and Jelani, 4.69 from Dylan, and a 4 from the rest of the panel. That brings us, for Serpent and the Rainbow, a PCP average of 4.469, dude. Hell yeah. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K, motherfuckers. All right. Thus concludes our review of The Serpent and the Rainbow. We are not doing a back chat tonight because I got to go watch House of the Dragon. And it's been a long
Slaps.
The new one, so good.
I haven't seen the new one yet. I got a little drunk last night on my stream.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw part of it.
Yeah.
I
But
did a little karaoke for a while.
yeah, oh, you know it. Horrorfest is not over, though we are approaching the tail end of Horrorfest. And this week is double feature week for their theme. And on Saturday night, join us for the double feature of It and It Chapter 2. Those are the most recent adaptations of It that we're going to be talking about. And then next week, here on PCP Movie Night, Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. That is going to be awesome. So It and It Chapter 2 for Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday, and Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein on Monday next week. So it's double feature time, and I'm ready. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's Horrorfest. So thank you all for joining us. Jelani, thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Absolutely, man. Glad to be here. Great movie. This certainly wasn't a fun house by any means. So I'm very glad we had this lineup for this Horrorfest because it's been turning out, fantastic. So
Yeah.
thanks for watching, guys. Everybody that's here. Thank you.
This has been the best horror fest yet because all movies, and even the movies that I had never seen, were big surprises for me, like American Mary, Alice, Sweet Alice, and whatnot. So we've had some good conversations as well. Perry, thank you for being here yet again, man. Any final thoughts?
Two things. Damn, I forgot. Does anyone know how to watch Chucky season 2? I don't know how to watch it, and it's driving me crazy,
bro.
dude.
I got you.
Okay. And then second one is, does anyone know any more like voodoo type horror movies? Like, I kind of want to watch some more voodoo stuff now. You know, like,
Zombie.
I don't care if it's zombie, just anything like voodoo related. Like in Scooby Doo, they had a voodoo guy there, and I thought that was so cool. Like, I'm kind of digging the whole voodoo thing, man.
Well, like Jelani said, Zombie, the movie Zombie by Lucio.
Zombie?
Fulci. Yeah,
Oh, that's a
By
movie.
Fulci.
Okay.
the
by
Fulci
Fulci.
film Zombie is a zombie film, but it has voodoo ties. And also the old school Bela Lugosi White Zombie is definitely worth watching. And I was watching on YouTube today, Joe Bob covered Serpent and the Rainbow back in the 90s, and he actually had Wes Craven via satellite having a conversation with him. They kept talking about this one voodoo movie from the 40s. I don't know which one it was.
Satellite, that would have been some advanced technology back then.
No kidding, right? I was like, man, nowadays they just put that motherfucker on StreamYard.
Terror has
Yeah.
like that little African voodoo doll, which is like kind of like a little African voodoo Chucky thing. Like you might like that. It's like an anthology trilogy of terror, but one of the things has like this little African voodoo doll. It's
Oh, hell yeah.
cool. Oh yeah,
Yeah, because Chucky's voodoo.
Bobby D just said that one too.
Check it out, Chief.
There's definitely some voodoo. Obviously, the first Chucky has voodoo in it.
Yeah. Dumbala.
Give me the power I beg of thee, or whatever.
Doesn't The Exorcist 2 get into some voodoo?
Fuck Exorcist 2. Fuck that shit, man. That movie sucks. Anyway.
That's The Heretic. That was the best
Yeah,
one.
God, I hate that movie. Brian, final thoughts?
Just glad to be here, and I'm really enjoying this horror fest. I've even when I'm not on the show, I've been seeing some new movies that I mean, because I haven't seen a whole lot of horror movies, but I've liked every one I've seen, in the past month. It's good stuff, and it's fun to come on here and talk about it and learn more about it. So.
It sure is, man. It's the most wonderful time of the year. What about you, Brooks? Thanks for being here. Final thoughts.
Sometimes you just gotta go do that voodoo that you do so well. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
I always
feel
do,
you.
of course.
There was another time where Joe Bob did Serpent and the Rainbow, and it's on YouTube as well. He's not talking to Wes Craven, but he pretty much just does the same bits. But it was a double feature that night, like they were, Monster Vision was. But the first movie was Love Potion number 9. And I was like, what a weird movie for Joe Bob to be talking about.
Yeah,
I like that movie.
I would not call that a voodoo movie.
I like that movie too. But I mean, there's
I
magic
like it too.
spells and shit. That's the point.
Yeah.
Dylan, thank you for being here, brah. I'm excited for Saturday night to have our Stephen King discussion. So thank you so much, man. Final thoughts.
Man, R.I.P. to the legend, Wes Craven, man. And dude, just great show, man. Great show, man. Had a lot of fun. Can't believe Horrorfest is coming to an end, man. Sad, but Horrorfest never ends, really. Or we just keep going all year long.
Yep, on Dylan's Horror Show.
Hell yeah, man.
If you haven't already, there's a link in the description below to find Dylan's channel. I would urge you to sub up to this guy. He is less than 25 away to 1K. And we're going to make that happen, brother. So we're going to do that. Everybody go sub up to Dylan's Horror Show if you haven't already. And click that notification bell so you don't miss a single one of our awesome Saturday night fright fests. So much fun on Dylan's Horror Show. And for my final thoughts, just thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. And like I said, join us on Saturday, It and It Chapter 2. And then on Monday, Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, James Wells Classics. We gave you a lot of homework, but you got plenty of time to get it done. Plus, you can do an easy double feature on Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein. Anyway, we're dipping out. And if any of us dies, don't bury us because we're not dead. That's weird. It didn't really work, did it? Anyway, Station Pop Pop.